I'm going to be ranking every single badge in NBA 2K23 My Team. As you guys can see, we have a tier list here ranking from S that goes all the way down to D tier, and we have every single badge in My Team. You guys can see they're all technically Hall of Fame badges, but I'll just be ranking them from S all the way down to D tier. Now, I am using a tier list from somebody else, so I'm not exactly sure if they have every badge. If they are missing a Hall of Fame badge, you guys can let me know, and I'll tell you guys where I do think they rank. But I'm just going to give you guys my opinions on what I do think the best badges are, and let me know in the comment section down below, obviously, what do you guys think about my tier list, and let me know what you guys would change about it as well. So first badge here is going to be Green Machine. I would probably throw it in B tier. Yes, it's going to help you green more shots, but I feel like in past My Teams it was a lot better. This year, I mean, it's still a good badge. Like B tier is still definitely a good badge, but it's just nothing too crazy. I just think there's better badges in the game. For example, one like Guard Up. Now S tier, I'm not exactly sure how many badges I'm gonna put in S tier. Maybe only like 5 to 10. Is Guard Up a top 5 badge in the game? I don't personally think so. We'll have to see. Maybe later in the video I'll put it up to S tier, but I'd say for now, Guard Up probably an A tier. A very good shooting badge. Limitless range, I mean, it's always going to be a top 5 to 10 shooting badge in the game. It just helps you shoot from way deeper, you know, on the court. You can shoot from the halfway line, basically, you know, kind of from the logo if you got a card that's got a high enough 3-ball and a good jump shot. So limitless range doesn't really work on every single card because a lot of times you're not going to be shooting from all the way back there, but if you are with a card, it's just going to help you green from farther out. So limitless range, most likely going to be a top 5 to 10 badge in the game. Mini Magician, I haven't really noticed this badge too much in My Team at least pop up. It is obviously good for the mid ranges, but I really don't think it's that great. I mean, if you wanted to throw it in B tier, I think you could, but for a shooting badge, I think Green Machine is probably a little bit better. Same thing with Slippery Off Ball. I think it's not a bad shooting badge, but I just don't know if it's like on the same tier as a Green Machine. Maybe it will be. I might move some badges around later in the tier list, but I think for right now, Slippery Off Ball probably going to be in C tier. Space Creator, I think they've actually like nerfed this badge a lot because it was a shooting badge last year, I believe, and then this year it's a playmaking badge, and it might be C tier. I'm gonna throw it C tier. I don't think it's the greatest badge in the game. Like a lot of them are gonna be C. For example, like Volume Shooter, because some of them are like absolutely useless, but then there's some like Volume Shooter where it can be somewhat useful. Like I think it's for like the more threes you make, the higher percentage you have to make the next three. So it like kind of widens your green window the more threes you make in a row. So I think Volume Shooter, probably C tier. It's not a great badge, but I wouldn't say it's bad. Same thing with Ankle Breaker. Like you're still going to get those ankle breaker animations, but honestly, realistically, I think Ankle Breaker probably in D tier, right? Because like who really cares about ankle breakers? How many ankle breaker animations do you really see get triggered in game? At least for me, I really never see people breaking ankles and stuff like that. So I think Ankle Breaker, I would rather a Mini Magician or a Volume Shooter because at least they have some sort of value and will trigger a lot more often. So for me, I think Ankle Breaker probably in D tier, but Bailout is low-key like a B or A tier badge because bailout is actually super important and super key to have on any card in the game. It's gonna, you know, it's gonna be able to make you pass the ball a lot better when you're bailing out a shot. So for example, if you go to shoot a shot with your point guard and you go up to shoot and then you realize that somebody's contesting you and you don't want to shoot anymore because it's gonna be like a red contest or a super contested shot, what you can do is then pass it to the person next to you or just pass it to somewhere on the court. And if you have Hall of Fame bailout or gold bailout, that pass is going to be pretty much on the money. But if you have no bailout on a card and you try to shoot and then pass out of the animation, it's basically just going to throw the ball out of bounds or just be a terrible pass. So bailout, maybe not on Hall of Fame, is super important. Like I'm not necessarily saying, you know, all of these badges on Hall of Fame, but just in general, I think having bailout at least on gold is pretty much important for every single card in the game. That's why I think it's probably going to be an A, and I think you honestly maybe could even argue S tier for that type of value it does provide. Break Starter is a really nice badge. If you guys don't know what it does, basically is when you grab a rebound and you want to throw a full court pass, like you're trying to run in transition or you're leaking out on the break, Break Starter is gonna be able to, you know, get the rebound and then throw that full court pass. So kind of like bailout in the sense that it's just gonna make those full court passes a lot more accurate. If you don't have Break Starter and try to throw a full court pass, you guys will sometimes notice the ball just like flying out of bounds or your player not being able to control it properly. So Break Starter, I think, is a pretty nice badge, probably in B tier. Agent 3 is really good for those normal leaner and those fade shots. I'm pretty sure it's just for normal leaners being able to green those more consistently. So if you guys play next gen, you'll know what a normal leaner is. Really good on most cards in the game that actually have it. So I'd say Agent 3 is probably an A tier, maybe even S tier. I think for now I'm kind of leaning towards like 5 to 7 badges in S tier, and one that is definitely going to be an S tier is going to be Claim Breaker. Probably, in my opinion, a top 2, 3, maybe even the best badge in the game. If you guys have noticed in my team, you get those clamp breaker animations where you try to go around somebody, you're trying to take them off the dribble, and you kind of just push them out the way and get that kind of burst of speed downhill. That's basically what clamp breaker is. It's called a clamp breaker animation, and it happens a lot. It triggers a lot in game if you have it on Hall of Fame, and it's pretty much key to have on every card in the game but your center or power forward, and even your power forward. Like I'm pretty sure KG and those type of power forwards that can actually move a little bit do have Hall of Fame clamp breaker. Dimer, I would say it's probably B tier. It's not a bad badge. It's more usable than these ones in C tier, because when you pass the ball, you're just gonna have a higher chance to make it with having like a Hall of Fame or a gold dimer. So it's pretty useful. I'd say probably in B tier. And same thing with floor general, pretty much do the same thing. They're both just for passing and making you be able to make more shots with those badges equipped if you have them on gold or Hall of Fame. Handles for days, I would say in this 2K, it might honestly be S tier, just because the stamina is a lot weirder and I think it drains a lot faster this year with your stamina. So handles for days, when you're trying to, combo and dribble a lot, it's just going to give you more stamina when you're trying to dribble. But for now, I'm going to keep it in A tier, but maybe it gets moved up to S tier later in the video. Hyperdrive, I think is probably either going to be high B or low A tier, because it's really good for when you're running in transition, those type of dribble moves, but I think it's okay. It doesn't really activate too much in game, at least for me. I would say it's probably like a B tier badge overall. Killer combos, really nice for comboing up. I'm pretty sure it was, I don't exactly remember what badge it was last year, but I'm pretty sure it was similar to was it like break well, I don't remember the badge last year. If you guys remember the badge that was very similar to killer combos last year in 2K22, I can't remember the name. It was like break something or something like that, but it's basically killer combos is now in 2K23, and I think it's probably going to be an A tier badge. Really good for dribbling. Mismatch expert, this one was really good last year in 2K22, but this year it's a playmaking badge now, I believe, and I've heard that it's not the best. I don't exactly know too much about mismatch expert. That's the one badge so far that I don't really know exactly what it does. That in Space Creator, I'm not 100% sure. Every other badge I know exactly what they do, but these two I'm not 100% sure, because it got changed from last year's game to this year's game. Needle threader, it's good for throwing those like pick and roll passes and those pocket passes in the pick and roll, but it seems like on paper like a nice badge to have for the pick and roll, but realistically it's not that great of a badge. Probably going to go in D tier. Post playmaker, I mean, once again, unless you're really working in the post a lot, which most people don't, I just don't feel like it's really a necessary badge to have, especially on most cards, unless you're using it for your power forward or center. Like, it's when you're backing down in the post and you want to make a pass out of the post, it's just gonna be a little bit more accurate. But for me, I think you probably could throw it C tier if you wanted to, because it has some sort of value. But for me personally, I think it's probably going to be in D. Quick first step, easily going to be an S tier. I mean, it's still one of the best badges in the game. Pretty much always has been since it dropped in my team. So I think for me, guys, by the way, I forgot to mention this. I'm talking about my team specifically. So if people are watching this and they thought this was about Park, I'm talking about my team. I don't know anything about Park with badges. I forgot to mention that at the start of the video. So I know I'm probably going to confuse a lot of people. I'm talking about my team. I'm not talking about Park, because I don't play Park. I don't know nothing about Park. I'm a My Team player. So, I mean, people that watch my channel will know that, but maybe for any new viewers, yeah, this is only about my team. I don't know anything about Park for badges. Amped, I mean, I really haven't noticed Amped too much. I know it does help with stamina shooting, but I think people thought it was going to be a lot more, really, really effective in game when it got leaked this year, or not leaked, but when we got told what it does in game. I don't think it's really that great though. I would say probably like it's a good badge, but I don't think it's as good as people thought it would be. It's just good for stamina shooting. I think it's probably in B tier. Special delivery, I mean, if you throw a flashy pass, you can get your takeover faster, but it's just not that great of a badge. I'd say probably C tier. Unpluckable, easily going to be an A. Pretty much in the name, it just means you can't get plucked that much. You can't get the ball stolen that much if you do have Unpluckable. So really good to have on your guards and your small forwards as well. Vice grip is really good for grabbing rebounds. When you grab the rebound, somebody doesn't just strip it out of your hands and get like a steal animation. So it's probably B tier, good for some centers or power forwards grabbing rebounds. Acrobat this year honestly is B tier and maybe even A tier. Those acrobat animations where when you're going for a layup and you double tap the X button and he does that like crazy, the ones where like they go up and then you click X by accident sometimes, or people double click X by accident and they do that like miraculous, like they fall on the ground and just throw the ball up and it somehow goes in. That's the acrobat badge. So honestly, I think it might be A tier. I'm gonna keep it in B tier for now, but it might honestly be an A tier, because that badge, if you know how to use that right, can be very, very effective. Aerial Wizard is basically just Lob City Finisher. It's good on next gen, like Lob City Finisher from past years. It's just for throwing lobs, being able to dunk the ball better in those lob situations. I think it's probably in C tier for me. Back Down Punisher is always a decent badge to have for big man. I mean, it's really good for backing people down in the post, obviously for your center and your power forward. Bully is pretty much the same thing. I think Bully is potentially S tier because of those animations you can get where you legit just push somebody out the way. So yeah, I'm gonna throw Bully in S tier because when this badge does activate, it's pretty much just a guaranteed layup because you literally just shove somebody out the way and get a wide open layup. So Bully 1000% gonna be a top 5 badge in the game. Dream Shake, I mean, it's good for the post, I guess, but once again, like Drop Stepper is actually not that bad. Drop Stepper is probably B tier because Drop Step this year are actually really OP. So I'd say, yeah, Drop Stepper probably in B tier. Fast Twitch is another really OP finishing badge. I would say for me, it's probably either in A or B tier. I'm gonna throw it in B tier, but probably high B tier. It's a lot better than most of these badges in B. So I'd say Fast Twitch is probably in B. Once again, guys, I can't really explain, you know, every single badge and everything about them, but I'd say probably Blinders in A tier because I don't want to make the video, you know, 30 minutes long. So I'm trying to speed through these as fast as possible and still give you guys somewhat of a breakdown. So Blinders is good for contests from the side when you're shooting it. Let's say, for example, at the top of the key, and you got, let's say, 2 people jumping at you from the side. It's going to be really, it just makes it easier to green, and you know, the contests be a lot lighter if you do have, you know, Hall of Fame or gold blinders. Fearless Finisher, not a bad badge. I would say probably B tier. Same thing with Giant Slayer. Like, they're good finishing badges. Obviously Giant Slayer really helping when you're trying to finish on taller guards, or taller big man, I should say. So if you're like a 6'3" guard and you're trying to finish on like a 6'8" or 6'9" power forward, center, whatever you want to call it, it's just going to be easier to finish with Giant Slayer added. Now Limitless Takeoff, I think, is probably either in A or S tier. It's a really good finishing badge. It does help you get some really good dunk animations, and it honestly might be S tier. We'll keep it in A tier for now. I think it's really elite though. Masher, I think, is on the same level as Back Down Punisher. I don't think for a finishing badge, I don't think it's as elite as a Bully. I would say Masher and Back Down Punisher are very similar and both going to be in my B tier category. Post Spin, I think, is also in B because Post Spins, if you do have the badge on Gold or Hall of Fame and you have like a smaller player on you, for me, I like doing a lot of Post Spins. Posterizer, I'd say probably A tier. I mean, it's a good badge. It always is in my team. It's good for getting those contact dunks. I think Posterizer probably in A tier. It's just good for contact dunks, like I said. Pro Touch, I've never actually really used this badge. I'm pretty sure it's for like floaters or something like that. So I'd say Pro Touch is probably in D tier. Rise Up is 1000% in A tier and maybe even S tier. You know what? I think this might be crazy, but I'm throwing Rise Up in S tier. If you guys don't know what Rise Up is, basically it's for getting those standing dunk animations underneath the basket. And standing dunk animations and standing dunks in this game are probably the best way to score right now. Is you run to the rim, you kind of pause and then go up for like a standing dunk, and you basically get them to go every single time. Like, that's a great way to score in my team, and a lot of comp players are using Rise Up to their advantage. So for me, I think Rise Up probably an S tier. If you want to say A, I think that's fair, but I think for the meta of the game this year, Rise Up is probably an S tier. Slithery Finisher is probably like B or A. I think Slithery is pretty nice. It does lower the contest when you are finishing around the rim over a taller defender, just over defenders in general. So I think Slithery is probably in B tier. Anchor, 1000% at least going to be in A tier. It's basically like rim protector and passiers. Really good for blocking shots and really good for getting contests. Obviously want to have on pretty much every card in the game, and obviously your big man, your centers, and your power forward. Catch and shoot, going to be in A tier. Like, A tier are all the badges that are like not necessarily must-haves. Like, some of them are must-haves, but they're just very good badges. Like, I would say S tier is pretty much must-have badges in the game, but like A tier is like catch and shoot. Like, it's a great badge to have. You probably want to emote your cards, but it's not like a must you know, you don't actually have to have it. Ankle braces, I would say, is probably C tier. I really don't notice them activating too much. They're kind of like the combat of ankle breaker, but the ankle breaker animation really never pops up. So for me, ankle braces probably in C tier. Box OPs, I think, is in B tier. A very good you know, rebounding badge, good for boxing out people. Brick Wall is probably an A tier. It's still one of the better badges in the game for getting paint stops and setting screens as well. Challenger, I think, is also going to be an A tier. Really good for contesting shots on the perimeter. So if you're trying to like close out, you know, if you kind of mess up on defense and you're trying to close out, you're just going to get a lot better for contest with Challenger. So I would say it's probably an A tier. Chase down artists, you don't really get that many chase down blocks in my team this year. They have kind of tuned them up a little bit, so you are getting more chase downs recently in my team, but I'd say it's probably B tier. Still a good badge, but last year would have been like S tier of how many chase downs you got, but this year probably going to be in B tier. Clamps, I would say Clamps this year, because of Clamp Breaker, isn't a top 5 to 7 badge, just because of the fact that Clamp Breaker is so overpowered that it really just overpowers Clamps. Yes, Clamps is still going to be an A tier because you need to have it on most of your cards, or pretty much all your cards, but I wouldn't say it's a top 5 to 7 badge in the game this year. Glove, easily going to be an A tier, especially on current gen for getting those pluck steals and just getting steals in general. I would say easily going to be A. Interceptor, also going to be A tier. Menace, I would say probably B. Off-ball Pest, I would say probably B as well. Really good for getting around screens on the defensive end. Claymore, I would say B as well. Kind of just like a worse catch and shoot. Pick Dodger, basically the same thing as Off-ball Pest. Actually, no, Pick Dodgers for going around screens, and then Off-ball Pest is just for playing off-ball defense. Pogo Stick, I think is probably B tier. I mean, it's good for jumping and getting contests on the defensive end. Post Lockdown, I think is also B tier. Just good for, good for big man and good for cards to have to obviously guard people trying to mash. Rebound Chaser, easily going to be an A tier. I mean, that's pretty much in the name, going to help you get rebounds. Probably an A tier badge in my opinion. Workhorse, I think is probably B or C tier. I'm gonna go C tier. I don't exactly know what it does, to be honest with you. I actually have no idea Workhorse does. If you guys know, I know, like, once again, like 99% of these badges, I'm not exactly sure what Workhorse does. Clutch Shooter, I mean, it's probably D tier. I don't even know. I don't think it really even matters, to be honest. I think it's just for free throws or just something like, no, Ice in the Veins was for free throws. Clutch Shooter is just like making clutch shots, but to me that makes no sense, because how do you make clutch shots if you're the one shooting the ball? Like, it's not like an AI. He doesn't need clutch shooter because it's not like your AI shooting. So to me, clutch shooter makes no sense. I would say D tier. Comeback Kid, I have heard can be pretty OP, so I'd say B tier. Corner Specialist, another really good shooting badge, and then Deadeye, another really good shooting badge, gonna be in B. The way that I kind of did this tier list, guys, is I wanted to have like those top 5 badges, these like crazy OP top 5 badges in the game in S tier, and then in A, I wanted to have like all of the great badges. B tier are just gonna be very solid badges, like, and none of these I think you like must have on a card. Obviously a lot of them are very helpful, but I would say B tier is like the good badges in the game and very solid. Like, definitely the majority of the badges are in B tier. C tier is like the, I guess, usable ones that are not terrible, but I wouldn't really recommend adding to cards unless they can just get some random ones. And then D tier badges that I feel like don't really activate too much in game and just aren't that great in general. But let me know in the comment section down below, what do you guys think of about my best badges tier list, and let me know what you guys would change, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.